Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Sun Tzu says, in war, practice dissimulation and you will succeed. Let your rapidity be that of the wind, your compactness that of the forest. In raiding and plundering, be like fire. In immovability, like a mountain. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as the night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One. I am the Bachelor Supreme. I am the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. And today, I wanted us to discuss an economic and financial matter, which is the true cost of dating. You'll see on the screen, we have an article entitled The Cost of Dating in 2024, which is fairly recently. In another sense, I wanted to entitle this The Reality Behind the True Cost of Not Getting a Vasectomy. But I realize it's not necessarily the case. Actually, and in truth, a vasectomy does not protect you from all the negative effects of dating. It just protects you from the worst effect and the worst side effect and consequence of dating. So this is on the extreme end of dating, and that's called having children. You know, those pesky, medley, annoying rugrats. Your beloved kids, your bundles of joy. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen again, so go get a vasectomy. Please, guys, go get a vasectomy. This is the message of all time, right? But sadly, even a vasectomite is not immune to the ramifications of dating. A vasectomy is very powerful, but even as a vasectomite, guys, you still got to play the game if you want to date, right? And in truth, someone has to pay the bill at the end of the date when it comes, and that person is going to be you. And we're going to have a look at exactly what that bill means and what that bill looks like for you. You have to accept this. You have to accept these numbers. And make them at the very least part of your budget. So what we're talking about here is the money that you have already spent and the money that you can foresee yourself spending if you do decide to engage in the romance wars. The truth is, guys, the counterpart cannot pay for dates, right? She genuinely just doesn't have the money, right? The money doesn't exist for her. So if you're going to be providing dates, keep these numbers in mind. And we talked about this in a previous video, that the counterpart, only 16% of the counterparts can actually pay their bills. Or you can look at it in another way and say that the counterpart can only pay their bills 16% of the time. That 16% of the time is between 45 and 50 years old, right? Or somebody who has somehow managed to amass a lot of money and keep that amount of money. But in truth, you're not talking about young people. You're not talking about someone in their teens, in their 20s, or even in their 30s. There are some even in their 40s. I mean, even in the 40s, right? We're still talking a very low amount of people, and it's really nothing. It's a very small segment of the population, right? The ones that are in their 40s are usually in what you call egalitarian relationships. And I hope I pronounced that word right. I mispronounced it, egalitarian, in a previous video when I practiced it. So what is an egalitarian relationship, right? It's really a relationship which implies some semblance of equality. But the truth is that in these egalitarian relationships, the counterpart only contributes a maximum of 30% of the bills, right? So, or you can look at it like she only contributes 30% of the time, right? And even then, she's not paying 50%, right? So the whole issue of 50-50, they don't want 50-50. They just don't have 50-50. They just don't have it. It's just not there, right? It's just not there. If you want to date, you have to understand that every single man is in a relationship with a poor counterpart. This is just how it goes, right? But these numbers of 17%, 16%, 70%, 30%, they can be ambiguous and misleading, right? So we do need to maybe look deeper into them to see exactly what do they mean. But if you're in a relationship with a counterpart right now, you know that you're paying most of the things, right? And most of your money is going to her, and most of her money just disappears, right? What is clear, however, is that the counterpart in her fullest capacity is actually empty. She's broke, right? If the counterpart is shopping for extravagant things, or traveling or eating out, that definitely means that there's a need bender paying for those hefty self-serving bills, right? Somebody's paying. A man is paying those bills every time. If she's going out at night, right, there's a man paying there, right? If she's in the club getting drinks, there's a man buying those drinks. She doesn't have the money for drinks. So if your girl is going on a girl's night out, there's a man paying for that girl's night out. And that man is either you or another man. And if you don't give her any money or you're not funding it and she still goes out anyway, it's another man paying. These numbers are very clear, right? 16% of them can pay bills, or they can pay their own bills 16% of the time. This includes all bills, entertainment included. So keep that in the back of your mind. These statistics are sound, by the way, right? She's not paying for restaurant meals every day, every day, every day. Absolutely not. She can't afford that, right? So somebody's paying that, and it's a knee bender. It's a man. It's always a man, right? So I don't recommend that you do this. I absolutely don't recommend that you pay another person's bills, and assuming any responsibility outside of yourself and your work is absolutely out of the question. Responsibility for a bachelor is forbidden. It is a no-go zone. We don't do that. We do not assume responsibility for other people. We do not assume responsibility beyond our capacity. So for me, this would include a wife and a child, right? That is beyond my capacity. You need to know what your capacity is and get a vasectomy. Don't find yourself in a situation where you're looking at, this is a real situation. So these videos are relatively live, right? So this is a video that's done today and will be posted today, right? So What I'm talking about is from today, maybe the 14th or the 15th of July 2025, for the next 20 years, right? So 2045. 2045 is the first time I will taste true freedom again. Ending today. This is what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about a past scenario. I'm talking about what happens today. And the next time you will see freedom again. Right? This is what responsibility is. It is completely out of the question. We do not do that, not as a bachelor. It's gonna ruin your life and you're gonna ruin the lives of other people. And I say that with relative seriousness. Right? They are just, I say it all the time, they're just some men who shouldn't be in relationships, and you need to know if you're that man. And you need to take that responsibility seriously. And that responsibility is to yourself. You need to make sure that you do everything in your power to prevent yourself from getting these kids and to prevent yourself from getting somebody pregnant. Because you're going to destroy everything you love about yourself. It's all gone. It's all gone. Right? And it's not coming back. And it's not coming back. Right? So like things like dates, excursions, short-term experiences, these can be a bit of a contentious issue in the bachelor life. And there's some men that say completely don't do it. There's some men that say, you know what, do whatever you want. I'm saying get a vasectomy before you decide. Right? I'm saying get a vasectomy first and then decide if you want to date or you want to do monk mode. Because either way, right, these things kind of flow in and out of each other. So it's a bit of a contentious issue. And while I hesitate giving advice on this issue, I can understand how these excursions, experiences, dates can have their value. However limited and short-lived that value actually is, right? So I can see where you're coming from, right? Some of these things you can do and enjoy alone. But there are activities, and most activities, including things like restaurants, even like cinemas, going to the movies, right? They make it such that you can sit next to each other, right? You can experience these things together and have a discussion about it after or while you're doing it, right? Please don't talk in the cinema, but I mean, like in a restaurant, that's perfectly fine, right? So I understand that there's a value in it, and there's a value in it for the counterpart too, because she's not gonna pay to go watch a movie. You gotta take her, man. You know what I mean? She's not paying to go to a concert, even if she wants to go to the concert. She's either gonna have to take up a tremendous debt or do something unconscionable to it, to get to go. But if that's not the case, then the man is gonna have to pay, right? And so you're gonna want to get some value, some benefit out of this, right? And to get that value, I recommend that you only go on dates and excursions with somebody that you have already been intimate with. I don't recommend taking a date with somebody who is not an intimate partner. So this can be a girlfriend, a wife, somebody that you've known for a long time that you trust, a partner. Those people you can absolutely take on a date, right? So think about it like this, right? I'm gonna make a family example, even if I'm not a family man. But consider this, right? You are a family man and you are at work. And at the end of the day, right, you go to a bar and you get in there and you see a group of strangers, 5 people sitting on the table. And you say to them, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy you dinner and I'm going to pay for your drinks. And then you go ahead and you pay for them. Now, even if you sit there and you have a great dinner with them, eventually they go their separate ways and the chances are you'll never see them again. That's exactly what a date is, You're meeting a stranger and you are having dinner with them. You're buying them dinner, you're buying them drinks. And at the end of the day, the chances are you go your separate ways and you never see them again. Consider this the same situation, right? In the first situation, even if you're a wealthy person, this is the likely outcome. Consider the other situation, an inverse situation, where you're a middle class person, you're not very rich, not very prominent, but you're doing okay, right? And but you don't have like extra money to like squander, right? But you have enough money. And you come home and you say to your family, right? You've got a family, let's say a wife and 2.4 kids. And you say to your wife and your 2.4 kids, stop what you're doing, put on your best clothes. I'm taking you out. We're going to have some nice dinner and some nice drinks, right? With the people that you know, after the dinner and the drinks, you go straight back home to your place. You come straight back home, right? And you continue to live out that evening. This is the difference between taking a stranger out to eat and taking somebody that you know out to eat. I say get the intimacy out of the way first, if you can, and then go on a date. Right? This is absolutely an efficient way of doing it. Right? Now, you may decide after the intimacy that you don't want to go on a date, and I can't really say which way that's gonna fall for you. Right? I can't really say how that's gonna work out for you, or if it will or it won't. But ultimately, I would not take somebody who I did not know and I could not vouch for in terms of efficacy and quality of outcome, what they call a return on investment, right? I would not be rewarding that person with new experiences, excursions, and delicious food. I would just leave them alone, right? I think you're better off just not approaching anyone, rather than, approaching somebody and letting them accept a gift, quite frankly, that they may or may not reciprocate, right? Doing it this way is a very efficient use of your time, right? It's a sound strategy and it will decrease the chances of regret, especially if you are in it just for the intimacy. Some guys are really in it to get to know the person before they take the path towards intimacy. But ultimately, the truth is you're just buying time. You're just buying time, and you'd be better served having you know, having done it first. But it's, I suppose, if you have a mechanism or a system to guarantee those outcomes for yourself, or if you're hopeful that that strategy will work, that's fine. But imagine if your military functioned this way. Imagine if your military was giving ammunition and resources out to strangers who were not allies, right? You wouldn't recommend that for your military. You wouldn't recommend that a company give out resources in a way that they could not retrieve them in terms of investment and profits. You wouldn't recommend that, right? But you would follow that strategy in your intimacy. You'd give resources to a stranger with no guarantees of outcomes. That doesn't sound like a sound strategy to me. But some people seem to follow that, right? And I'm not speaking in terms of moral code or what's right or wrong. I'm just speaking in terms of what is strategically sound. And there is no instance of anybody benefiting from long delays, right? You're just taking the long way around. There's no benefit for you or for the counterpart, in fact, right? And if there are long delays, they will just drain your resources, right? Of which you're going to regret, right? You're absolutely going to regret having drained your resources with no outcome, right? And then, you know, if you've been intimate with them, you get to limit those awkward moments, which is, where you thought that dinner and a show would lead to intimacy. And now you've paid and paid, and all night long you've been hoping, 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 hoping. You can't enjoy the dinner, you can't enjoy the show, you can't enjoy her company because you're just hoping, 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 hoping. And it's awkward, man. You're going to feel uncomfortable all night, you know? This is a terrible miscalculation. You shouldn't be taking out people that you don't know. You know what I mean? If you cannot tangibly confirm that someone is interested in intimacy with you, you shouldn't be spending money on them. Really, if somebody doesn't like you in that way, why are you spending your money on them? Aren't you better off spending your money on people who do like you? This is why when women wonder, why do some unattractive women land certain types of men? It's because they've indicated that type of attraction in a tangible way, and that guy knows that when he's putting this money down, he knows when he comes over, right? He can confidently bring something to eat, not just something for the night, but something that'll last a few days, right? He knows that when she comes over, when he picks her up, they can go somewhere first and then head home, right? There's a confidence that the man can act with. And even if that person is not what you would consider conventionally the standard of attractiveness where you are, right? To him, that boost in confidence, right? That knowing, not thinking, not guessing, not wondering, knowing allows a man to act with confidence, which is why you must always be prepared. Preparation is the key to real confidence. Knowing what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it, being certain of an outcome, right, is what leads you to act with confidence. If you don't know what you're doing or how it's going to end up, it's going to be bad, right? So you got to make sure these people at least make sure that somebody likes you before you start, flying them out to another part of the world, you know? But in truth, I do understand why some men would lead with the investment part first, right? Because if you go straight for the intimacy and then the inevitable happens, you get somebody pregnant, because that's what the purpose of intimacy is. Insemination. You will get somebody pregnant. If you do all these things without a vasectomy, you're ultimately going to get somebody pregnant. This is something that really, I listen to a lot of internet conversation from both sides, from up and down the ladder, popular people and unpopular people, and there's not one mention of pregnancy. They never ever say, oh, by the way, you go date that girl, you're going to get her pregnant. They never talk about pregnancy, and it's always the inevitable outcome, which surprises me. I mean, everyone is talking about dating, but not one word about pregnancy. Isn't that suspicious? To me, that's very suspicious. But again, I get it. If you get her pregnant and she doesn't like you, if you get her pregnant and she feels like you've been taking advantage of her because you said you were going to take her on a date and you fell asleep, right? Or suddenly your legs quivered and you couldn't do it anymore, right? She's going to ruin your life. She's going to remember that. She's going to remember that. When she starts feeling spiteful and wants to find a reason to be spiteful, she's going to remember that you didn't take her on a date that one time 13 years, 14 years ago, right? So you have to lead with generosity and kindness and benevolence, right? What else can you do? What else can you do? Or you could do the smart thing and you can get a vasectomy. You can get a vasectomy for the small price of $1,550, 1,550. Right, 1,500 for $50 more. You can freeze your sperm and then go get a vasectomy. This is our golden number, 1,600, 1,600 US dollars, right? And this is what we're really going to do in this article. We are going to compare, right? We're going to make a comparison between our magic number of $1,600 and the cost of dating in 2024 at the very least, right? So where we are kind of on the timeline, right? And also, we will see what dating actually costs, what the real cost of dating, right? Remember that this cost is not adjusted to accommodate your income bracket or your tax bracket. So what does that mean? It means that these costs are consistent whether you are rich or poor. So rich man pays this cost, poor man pays this cost. Doesn't matter who you are. You walk into that restaurant, they are charging you the same thing for the same thing, right? So it's always beneficial for you to work hard and do your overtime, your extra time every time, right? And then go ahead and give that money away to some strangers, right? So go ahead and kill it at work, and then when you're done, throw that money in the air and give it away to these strangers, and they will charge you $120 for a piece of chicken. Good luck with all that, right? And I hope you don't get her pregnant after that piece of chicken. I really hope you don't get that woman pregnant after she eats that piece of chicken, right? But I think that the articles that we've actually been reading these past few days have been quite informative. This is what I think. Some have been very long and cumbersome, but I think they've all been worth the value that we derive from the knowledge has been worth it, right? I think it justifies the effort. And I think today's article will be quite as insightful, right? It is titled "The Cost of Dating in 2024." Sadly, there was no date and there was no author, but it comes from the website self.inc. It reads, "The cost of dating in 2024. Let's be honest, finding love in the 2020s is hard work. Those in previous generations might have spontaneously found love at a bar or through friends, but today's landscape is different. That is absolutely true. There's a lot of things that are completely different. According to a Stanford University study in 2017, around 40% of heterosexual and 60% of same-sex couples meet online. That's interesting. Up to 22% in 2009, up from 22% in 2009 and just 2% in 1995. That is a huge difference. So 98% of people met in person in the 90s. And in the, let's say, early 2000s, right, it was just 22%. So 78%. I think that's about, no, 78%. It's about 78% of people met in person. So you actually had to see that person in person to meet them. Now we are nearly at about 50%. And for same-sex couples, it's over 50%. That's very interesting. But online dating, it continues, comes with its own challenges. The paradox of choice paralyzes opinion. With every new match decreasing the odds of keeping a potential partner's attention, as documented in a 2019 study. So it's really an abundance of choice, right? So once you've made a choice, what happens is they give you another choice. right? It's not a situation if you match with somebody and then they match with you, then they shut down the app and don't match you anymore until you two unmatch each other or something, right? But they just keep matching you and matching you and matching you and matching you. So eventually you've got like thousands of matches. Inevitably you're gonna get like thousands of matches on both sides, right? So it's very interesting how those dating apps work, you know. But yeah, with that being the case, so you're not really inclined to just match with one person. You're doing your maximum amount of matches. So no wonder, no wonder. Then there are the ghosters. I'm assuming the people you see once and never call you again. The catfishers, the people who catfish. The fake accounts and spam profiles. Okay, so these are all kinds of internet scams. These are all scams just to complicate things. So while you're dating, there are people that are dating to scam. It sounds like ordinary dating. To me, it's just been digitized. Once you finally meet someone, the stress doesn't end there. For many Americans, the cost of dating can be anxiety inducing. It's expensive to date. I've been saying that for a long time. Often a source of conflict in a relationship. Yeah, money is the number one source of conflict in a relationship. Because you're paying and it's like, what are you paying for? You know, you're paying for somebody who's been on 12 dates this week already. I don't know. To find out more, a survey on behalf of Self Financial asked more than 1,000 US adults about the cost of dating and falling in love. So, this is when things get real, right? This is when the rubber meets the road, as they say. You know, when the bill comes due, and the bill always comes due. I hope this slide is clear to see, but I tried to make it fit on the screen. But we'll read it together. It says here key findings. The average person spends $58.84, so that's $58.84 per date, with men paying $67.87 per date, paying 20% more than women. Women pay $56.54 per date. So men are paying about $70 a date. Ooh, that's a lot of money. If you're going on 10 dates, that's almost $700. $70 per date. Okay. So, I mean, how often are you going on dates? I'm assuming people are going on dates all the time. I'm assuming you're going on dates all the time, at least once or twice a week, right? If you're seriously dating. Let's continue. Two-thirds of Americans, 67.9%, feel stressed about finances when organizing a date. I can imagine. While three-quarters, 74.6% are opting for more low cost alternatives in 2024, the infamous coffee date. That's what a low cost alternative is. It's a coffee date. So about 70% of people are really stressed. I mean, that's a lot. If I think the average salary in the United States is about it's about $40,000, maybe just over $45,000. I might be high, I might be a little bit low, but it's in and around that range, $40,000. $70, let's say almost $100 per date. So we're including fuel and your outfit and the effort. Let's say it's about $100 a date, right? If you're making about $3,500, $3,500 a month, $100 just for a meal is a lot. It's a lot. I mean, you add in your rent and car and other fees, $100 for one meal can be a lot, right? It continues. More than half of people, 57.7%, have asked for refunds or contributions after a bad date. Yeah, people want their money back. Yeah, this is what I was saying. You're gonna pay and ask yourself, what am I paying for? And then now you're asking somebody that you like to reimburse you for wasting your time. Just think about all that, man. Just go with people that you know. Go with who you know, man. So you don't have to ask for your money back. Almost 2 in 3, 64.6%, believe that spending more on a date will lead to a more successful relationship. That's very interesting. So you guys want to spend more money? 65% of you believe if you spend more money on dates, the relationship will be more successful. It's an interesting outcome. It's a very interesting. Can't you find something else to bond over other than dates? Because dates are like expensive. A couple will spend on average $701.96 across 7 days before classing themselves in a relationship. This is what I said. If you're hitting almost 10 dates just to get to know someone, you're almost at $700, right? And there it is. There it is. At least I can count, right? So that's a tremendous amount of money. You're spending $700. And so I'm assuming this is in a fairly short period of time. So you're spending $700. So the cost of getting into a relationship, the cost of initiating a relationship is $700. Wow. Okay. A vasectomy is 1,600, right? $1,600. You're almost halfway. I mean, you're just about halfway, right? Just about halfway. I would argue that you can sacrifice 10 dates and add a little bit more money and add 900 more and get yourself a vasectomy. I think you can easily sacrifice 10 dates to do this, right? And then come back having reassessed the situation, because this is starting to get expensive. And mind you, a vasectomy is permanent. You do it one time, you keep it for the rest of your life, and it benefits you every day. These dates, they come and they go, man. This is just the cost of getting into it. When you in, oh man, that's when the money really flies out. That's when the money really, really starts to leave your life. How much do Americans spend on dating? There is no right or wrong when it comes to dating. They always say that there's no right or wrong answer. That means they don't really know. Everyone has different preferences, priorities, and conventions they accept to find a potential partner. However, almost half, 44.9% of the 1,000 or so Americans surveyed said they are searching for a long-term relationship. Okay, so 45% want a long-term relationship, while 36% are searching for something more casual. Interesting. So 45, 36. Okay, we're almost at about 80%, 80%, right? More than half of people surveyed, 52.9%, say they typically go on 1 or 2 dates per month. So you're spending about 2 dates a month. That's about $200 a month just on dates, right? That's interesting. With 41.9%, 42% meeting up with a match 3 or more times. Okay, so they go on a date twice a week, twice a month, and they meet up with somebody that they match with. So if you're matching with people online, 3 or more times. I count 5 dates. I count 5 dates a month. That's 2 dates a month plus 3 matches. That's 5 dates a month. That's $500 a month. That's 500. That's almost $500 a month just on date. Each date comes at a cost, and almost 2/3 of people, 64.6%, 65%, surveyed believe that spending more increases the chance of the date being a success. So you're already at $500 a month, but you believe that spending more is going to make you more successful. Interesting. Looking deeper into this, the data revealed that the average date in 2024 will cost around $60 per person, with men expecting to spend more by around a fifth. So men are spending around $10 more, right? So if it's $60, that means men are spending around $70. This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. So 10 dates. This is what brings us up to that 700 number. So if you're going out 5 times a month, that's a lot of money. At about $70, that's I'm gonna just bring it at 100, because I know you still need to get fuel and other things. So cologne, clothes, you need a place to stay, all that. I'll just bring it up to at about 100. So you're looking at about $450 to $500 a month, just on dating, just to get to know people. This is they say 10 dates is what solidifies you as a couple in a relationship. So you get 10 of those, $700. Goodness gracious. Dinner dates are still the most preferred choice. Okay, so people like to eat. The data suggests that Americans still prefer the tried and trusted restaurant date, with 47.8% of respondents choosing it as their preferred way to get to know someone. So, okay, 48% of people like to go out and have a nice dinner and talk to you. Give them alcohol. Give them alcohol. Now, I don't drink alcohol myself, but if I did go out, I would get the waiter to give me a 0% beer, right? I'm not sponsored, but if I was sponsored, I would recommend a Heineken and get them to pour it in a glass. Don't have that sticker, so that blue sticker sticking there with a 0%, right? Tell them you want that NA, Heineken NA, they'll know what it is, and order the lady a nice glass of wine, and you can toast all night long, right? If you're not a drinker, you don't have to announce this. You can absolutely lie, right? Now, I know Heineken doesn't recommend that, but I do, right? I recommend you lie to everyone all the time about everything, because I know they're lying to you. So get yourself some non-alcoholic beer, right? You'll get over the taste, man. You'll get over the taste. It's real enough. It gives you that burp sensation. And when somebody is drinking themselves and they drink it, they really can't deduce the taste. It's been very well made. A lot of these NA beers really are well made. Myself, I have no propensity for alcohol. I'm sick for days and days. So I'm not, I don't have, it's nothing personal. It's not, if you want to drink a beer, have a beer. Do whatever you want. You're an adult. It's completely fine. It's perfectly legal. But myself, I'm for the non-alcohol. And I will happily tell somebody that it's the real deal. And I'll happily get them to taste it if they don't trust me. Because it's real enough. It's real enough. And if they ask you, what are you drinking? Just say, I'm having a beer. That would be true also, right? You'll just say, no, I'm having a beer. And I always say I don't mix alcohol, which is true. I don't drink alcohol. I don't mix it. I don't do anything with it. So I'll say I don't mix my alcohol, and I'll drink my non-alcoholic beer. That is if you are going to get me in a date situation to begin with. But if you're going to take somebody out for dinner, make sure they eat carbs. Get them some bread, some French fries, or whatever, some mashed potato, and then give them the alcohol, because the carbs will be processed very quickly. It'll get the job done. It'll get the job done effectively. And then the meat will keep them full. It'll keep them satiated. right? So they won't be hungry for other things. So get some meat in there. They won't be hungry for like desserts and things, because those sugars are gonna make you hungry and they're gonna eat up your alcohol. So you don't want that. You want the carbs that will keep, you know, the party going, and then you want some meat, some steak, some chicken, some seafood that's gonna keep the people full. So you don't have to spend more money on food later. But definitely, get her something to drink, and get yourself some NA beer. Try a few, find one that you like, and then order that like a champ. But if you say Heineken NA, the bartender will know what you mean, but she'll just hear Heineken and he will hear the NA, right? And you'll get exactly what you want. I recommend it. It's a good drink. It's a good drink. Low carbs, all that. Let's continue. While less pricey, a coffee shop date, 44%, 45%, is also favored by more than a third of people. I think coffee shops are actually pretty expensive. As a person who drinks a fair amount of tea and coffee, I find that you will pay for the price that it gets you to, for the cost of like 100 tea bags, or a tub of like very good coffee. They'll give you 1 cup, right? So you could make 100 tea bags. And I find that I make my coffee the best for me. I know how I like my coffee made. And when I make my tea or my coffee, it's perfect every time, right? It's just the way that I like it. But I find also that if I leave it to the people at the shop, this is not to imply that coffee shops aren't nice places. I like coffee shops too. But I find that the cost is extreme, man. You know, it's extreme compared, and then you drink it and it's good, but it's not the way that I like it, and it's fine, you know. But, you know, I like my own coffee better. That's the point that I'm making. But 44% of you like that coffee shop experience. I'm okay with it either way, right? I have a strategy for that too. I'll happily go to a coffee shop, and drink that coffee. Then I'll say, let's go have a real drink. And then I'll have my NA, right? When it comes, oh, NA means non-alcoholic, by the way. When it comes to cost, the average person spends $50.14 per person on food and drinks during a date. For those who date once a week, they will pay slightly less than the 218 dollars and 42 cents per month on eating out, which is the average for all Americans according to U.S. Census Bureau data. So you guys are spending $218 a month on food. I think I said that before. I think I said it was about 200. $218 a month. So 200, that's about 2,400, $2,400 a year just on dates. That's a tremendous amount of money. That's a tremendous amount of money to give away to restaurants. No, no, that's $2,000 a year. You know, I mean, at $2,000 per year, we've already gone almost $400 over what a vasectomy costs, right? A vasectomy and to freeze your sperm, is only $1,600. We're already at $2,000, $2,200, right? We're already $800 over our magic number. And the more I preach this number, 1,600, the more I find that it's just hard to beat. You know, just the cost of having a baby is already 30,000, you know, and dating, I mean, you're already at 2,400, $2,400 just on dating. You're not even in the relationship yet. But it starts to add up if you're dating 3 or more times per month. Yeah, yeah. Those who dated 1 to 2 times a month spend on average 57 and 20 $57.21. I beg your pardon. While those dating 3 to 4 times spend higher at $69.68. These numbers are very specific, by the way, and that's a lot of money. $70. Right, we're back to that 700 number. If that wasn't enough, there's also the cost of looking good for the date, right? The clothes. According to research, singles spend on average of an average of $50.29 on clothes, makeup, accessories, and personal grooming to show off their best selves before a date, right? Those tailor-made suits that we're always talking about. By the way, the tailor-made suit is the quintessential outfit for a bachelor. If you're going to be a bachelor, man, you're going to need a suit. A suit for you. Go ahead and get yourself that navy blue, that blue suit, no light blues, right? Try to stick with the darker blues. No black suits. Black suits are for funerals. Your funeral, right? And when you do go down, try to get them to bury you in a nice navy blue suit. Navy blue is the color. You can try many suits. Charcoal gray, I'm happy with that too. But man, get yourself like 3 or 4 navy blue suits, right? You can try other colors. You can try and be fancy with other colors. But eventually, what you're going to do is you're going to reach for that navy blue every time. Trust me. That navy blue and that charcoal gray, you're going to be reaching for those every single time for those dates. You're going to get that suit steamed. You're going to get your tie, your clip, your cufflinks. You're looking very good. You're looking dapper. I will not be encouraging jeans and t-shirts on this platform. If you want to wear jeans and t-shirts, you are out of your mind. Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I don't care. Get yourself a suit. Get your vasectomy first and then get a suit. Jeans and t-shirts, imagine. Those days are over, man. Those days are over. Get yourself a suit and wear it. Actually put it on. Put it on, wear it, go outside, and then see what happens. Let's continue. Now that you have your accessories, your makeup, and your personal grooming, this is likely to reflect the cost of a weekly date, but for someone looking to look extra handsome, benders, or glamorous counterparts, for a new partner or getting back into dating, they may spend this as an average also every time. So you're spending about $50.29 just to look good every time you go on a date. Ladies, you're spending $50. So on 10 dates, you're spending $500 just to arrive. You are spending $500 just to get there. And what if you don't like the person? You're down $500 on a maybe. Oh, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And these counterparts are always dating. No wonder you have no money. No wonder you people have no money. You're spending all your money trying to look good for a better man who may or may not come. That is a tremendous amount of money to spend on hope. Really. Just to arrive, just to walk through a door and say, "Hi, my name is Counterpart." $500. I don't know about all that. Again, I think it's very different if you've already been intimate and you guys know each other in that way, and you're wearing, and you're spending that money on somebody that you know what you're getting. But if you're spending $700, 700 big ones, 700 greenbacks, US dollars, money, not 700 baht. No, right? $700, money, real money. That's a lot of money. Like, there are places where $700 in the world, $700 can get you a car. How much do you have to spend to be in a relationship? That's a very good question. On average, people agreed it takes around 7 dates before couples would class themselves as in a relationship. 7 dates. Some people thought it was three. Maybe there's 3 days to be intimate, 7 days to be in a relationship. That's a lot. That's a lot. A fifth, 21.3%. That's about a fifth. We're happy to use the label after just 2 dates, right? So you've already spent enough money, and you can see that this isn't going to be cheap. So you want to lock it down from the first date and start spending money on somebody that you are actually intimate with. You're going to get her pregnant, by the way. While 35% said that they would need 4 dates before feeling that way. So, wow, this isn't a very specific science, but I do understand that it was a survey and people answered in a very specific way. So we'll just use the numbers as they are. People need 4 to 7 dates to actually decide on you. 3 dates might decide attraction, but you really gonna need some more time to get to decide if this is a person you want to open up to about your problems and your bills. So I'd say, and also around 7 dates is an investment for a man. So if you're paying in 7 dates, that means you are prepared to keep paying. Because 700, I mean, like people who aren't prepared, they start to feel that burn after 3 dates. On the fourth date, they're like, come to my place, right? Which is what I said you need to do from the beginning. You need to start with, come over to my place. Oh, hey, the sun is shining. Oh, the sun is out today? Come over to my place, right? Oh, hey, is that a new belt? Come over to my place. Did you change your ringtone? Come over to my place. That's really what you need to do. You don't need to be $500 down and then say, come over to my place. Because that's 4 dates in and that's painful. And then after 4 dates, now she wants to keep going on dates and only then you want to say, come over to my place. I mean, it's all you've done was delay the inevitable. That's all you've done was delay the inevitable because now you've gone to 3 dates just for you to get to the point where you're saying, well, I just want her to come over to my place when you should have just started there. This is the thinking. Start at the point. Just imagine you've already paid for 3 dates. What would you say at date number 4? Come over to my place? Correct. Right? Now, if she says no, you need to end that conversation right there. Whatever happens after she says no is illegal. Even if she says yes later, she can always go back to the original no and say that she was persuaded, she was coerced, she was forced into action. So whatever she says after she says no, the first no, you need to let that go. You need to learn to walk away. That is the moment where you walk away and you don't come back, right? If you're already in a relationship and she says no, she's going to be saying no to you about everything. But before that, it has to be all yeses. And you need to get right to it. Come over to my place. She says no, that's it. Because you can't then go from come over to my place, no, okay, let's go on a date. And then after the date, come over to my place. That's coercion. That's coercion, right? Because she already says no and you manipulated the situation, right? And especially if there was alcohol and other things involved, then you're completely in the wrong. There's no judge in the world that's going to side with you. And all she has to do is say no instinctively and then say, no, I don't mean no, I'm changing my mind. No, there's no changing your mind. Because changing your mind means illegal activity. If you don't believe me, ask a lawyer, right? I'm not giving you legal advice, I'm giving you social advice. And I'm saying go and ask a lawyer. If a woman says no and she presents that as evidence in the court and you corroborate it and you say, yeah, she did say no. And then what did you say after she said no? I said, well, if you're not coming to my place, let's go for dinner first. That's coercion, my friend. That really is. Let's continue. Taking 7 dates as an overall average, The data found that the typical couple would spend $701.96 together before classing themselves as being in a relationship. That assumed all 7 dates required payment. However, some may opt for free things to do, such as a walk in the park. You think a walk in the park is free? Walk in the park is not free, man. You gotta drive to the park. And then you gotta eat something and drink something and get something and come back with something, you know. Nah, walks in the parks aren't free. Absolutely not. Nothing is free. This is Earth, people, the biggest corporation in the universe. And for all we know, it's the only corporation in the universe. Everything in here is for money. Even you. It wasn't free to bring you here. It cost you 30,000. It cost 30,000 to bring you into this life. And then they had to feed you with money and clothe you with money. And you gotta pay, man. You gotta pay for everything on earth. Everything on earth. You have to look at this thing holistically, and you have to also understand you're not getting out of here. You're not making it out of here. We're all gonna die on this planet. We're all gonna live here, and we're all gonna spend that money. Dating apps and first dates is the next one. It says if the cost of dating is playing on if the cost of dating is playing on singles' minds during dates, does this affect how they search for potential matches online? While not everyone places a priority on their partner's net worth, this is not true. Everyone places a priority on their partner's net worth, especially the counterpart. It seems that some singles give wealthy profiles a second glance. So if you appear wealthy and successful, people will give you more attention, even if they don't know who you are. More than 7 in 10, 71.8%, said they were more likely to match with someone who has signs of wealth on their dating profile. So about 72% of people want somebody who has the means or demonstrates the means of success, or at the very minimum to support themselves in a successful capacity. 1 in 5, 20.1%, said it would be a turnoff. So 20% of people said that they don't want money in somebody, which is strange in a planet like ours, where money is pretty much everything, right? I mean, like if you don't have money on earth, you don't have nothing, man. This is the biggest corporation in the whole universe, and as far as we know, it's the only one, right? So if you're turned off by money, that's troubling. That's troubling in a profound way. While 8% said it wouldn't sway them either way. I'm just assuming that this 8% is quite frankly undecided, right? These are people that haven't come around, but they will. And I'm guessing that when they do decide, they are going to go the way of the money, right? Bringing us to that 80-20 rule. So 80% of people want to be rich and 20% of people really don't care. It continues. What stands out on profiles? Respondents said that matches who show themselves visiting lavish international destinations such as Paris or Dubai were most likely to catch the eye at 37.7%, as well as those who appeared to dine in expensive restaurants, 36.3%, and wear luxury fashion brands at 35%. So get a suit, guys. Stop wearing jeans, right? Stop wearing jeans. I mean, wear your jeans, right, or whatever, but get yourself some suits, some navy blue suits. Get yourself some two suits. It says here very clearly, people want to see you wearing nice things, looking good, dressing well, right? People are attracted to that, right? So, and I'm going to tell you, you're never going to look better as a man than when you're in a suit. The only other time you're going to look better is when you're super fit, right? The only thing that's better than a suit is a tremendously fit body. I don't mean like a thin body. I mean like an athletic, fit, muscular, well worked out body, right? One that is regularly in the gym. or daily in the gym, right? Other than that, you're gonna want a suit, right? Um, Also, traveling. So traveling doesn't just make you a better person. So it expands your mind. It expands your thinking. It also makes you attractive, right? When people see you traveling to places that seem out of reach for them, I would recommend traveling to Asia. Any parts of Asia is really wonderful, right? And there are rural places in the area in Asia, right? In those areas, but those rural areas are rural areas. So if you're going to a rural area, that's your own problem. And you've done that to yourself, right? And you deserve whatever you get out there. I'm sure they're perfectly fine, but I really don't have much experience with traveling to rural areas. I find that the cities, the metropolises, are exquisite. Like Asian cities are just wonderful, right? Every area sort of has its own personality. Even in one city, different areas will have a different feel, different style, different vibe for each kind of person, right? You're sure to find something that you like. So it is something that I recommend you do. And this article says it too. It's not just about expanding yourself, but it will make you more attractive, right? Attraction is attractive. And what do they also like? Oh, they like going to expensive restaurants. The counterpart loves expensive restaurants, right? They love everything about going to restaurants. They love being served. They love being treated with respect. They love being called by a dignified name, sir, ma'am, even if she's young, right? They like to complain. Oh, they love to complain in expensive places. It makes them feel good. It's a boost of ego for them, right? Then if they go to expensive places, they have to dress a certain way. So they got to think about that, and you know they like everything about it. And then of course there's the food. And if there's some entertainment, pianist or whatever, some nice resorts might have some live music that goes from being slow and mellow and picks up as the evening goes, right? So they love everything about restaurants, and no two restaurants are the same. So you never really know what you're going to get when you go to a particular type of restaurant, except that you're going to get very fatty food that's cooked in a lot of oil. Even the salads are cooked in oil. I don't know how they do it. But yeah, the ladies love all this, right? The traveling, the eating, the clothes, the cars. Get yourself a nice car if you can. I'm not big into cars, but I understand the value of a nice car. It looks good. People like things that look good. Let's continue. A staggering 82.3% of US adults in this survey admitted to judging potential partners by their salaries. While this figure may seem surprising, a 2022 study which analyzed 1.8 million online dating profiles in 24 countries supports this behavior. So this means that people want to know how much you're making. So just tell them you're a lawyer. So even if you can tell them you're a lawyer making a middle class wage, $50,000, $45,000, they will be more accepting of that because of the potential of earnings. You could leave your current job, go to another job, find a better job, right? That pays more money. So if you say you're a lawyer, even a young lawyer, that's acceptable, right? Don't go around giving legal advice, but you can give social advice, right? You can tell them, I can't give you legal advice. You need to go find a lawyer. You need to pay him. But I can tell you what I would do under certain circumstances, right? And then you can proceed to lie, right? And lie and lie and lie. But do know that what you do for a living, what you tell people you do for a living, is absolutely going to matter. It's absolutely going to matter. So lie to them. Even if you have a job, other than being a doctor, but then you have to be a real doctor. But even if you have a job that is more glamorous than a lawyer, you'll pull off being a lawyer. You'll be fine. Most people don't know what lawyers do anyway until they actually need a lawyer. And even then, you could be right in the middle of your trial and have absolutely no idea what your lawyer actually does, right? They just always have documents and words, lots of words and lots of documents. So tell people you're a lawyer, and forego the documents. It found that men were 2.5 times more likely to receive a profile attention than women if they had higher earning potential. So men don't care about how much women make, and women care about how much a man makes, because you're the one that's going to be spending money on her, and in truth, she's not going to spend not a cent on you. And if she does, it's going to be once in a while, right? 16% you can expect her. You can expect her to pay 16% of the time, right? So that's the number, which means she's not paying for nothing. That's not even a tip. A tip is 20 to 25% in some places. 16% is not even a tip, right? So she'll pay part of the tip. This is actually quite accurate in my own experience too. These people don't pay for nothing. Who should pay for the first date, ironically? To round out the research, participants were asked the age old question: who should pay for the first date? Man, just pay for the date. Just pay for the date. Especially if you follow our strategy and you've already been intimate with the person, you're taking them out. Just pay for the date. She doesn't have any money, right? Just get that into your head. Get that into your head, right? She says, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this. She's probably comparing herself to other counterparts. And in a group of uselessness, they can have the victories that they have. But in reality, you're the one that's going to have to pay everything. You're the one that's going to have to sustain the relationship and keep it going. And you're the one who's going to have to try and keep other guys from getting to her, which is really, the irony here. You're paying just to keep paying, just to keep other guys away from her, and she wants those other guys to come while you keep paying. And if you think that she doesn't desire the attraction of other men, so now that she's got you, she's looking at other men to see who can compare with you, right? She's really she's really comparing you with her ex, comparing you with future possibilities, and she's gonna realize that ultimately you're the only one that's naive enough to pay her bills, right? And nobody else really wants that job. Even if the men are being intimate with her, they really don't want to pay those bills. Like I'll be quite frank with you. Like, if I can get away without paying for a woman's housing and transportation and food and clothing, I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay. I won't be forcing that issue. I won't be telling her, how dare you pay your own bills? This is rude. It's outrageous. If you pay another bill again, I'm calling the police. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not paying for no bills, right? But if you're going to take her out on a date, you got to pay for it. Even if she asks you out, even if she asks you to come out on a date with her and you accept, just accept that you're paying, right? Now, she can plan it if she wants to plan it, but if you accept to go on a date with her, I suggest you plan the date and then you go ahead and pay for that, right? She's just indicating interest. She has really no power for accomplishment. And if you're expecting her to do that, she's going to be frustrated, because what she's really done is take money from her baby's food to take you out on a date. And that's going to be frustrating for her. She won't tell you that, but I am, The study did not focus on gender roles, it continues, as often dating experts and polls consistently suggest that men in heterosexual relationships should pay for the first date. I agree. This survey instead focused on finances. More than 2 in 5, 44.1%, believe that whoever earns more should pay for the date. Absolutely not. Even if the counterpart earns more than you, even if they've got more money coming in than you, they also have more money going out. These people are terrible with money. There's never anything left, right? Even if she owns double what you make, you'll still have more money to spend. I'm telling you the truth. I've seen this happen a lot of time, right? That's why that media mogul lady is dating that millionaire. She's a billionaire dating a millionaire because all her money flies right out the window. Wigs, nails, BBLs, you name it. $1 billion out the door, right? Let's go. Let's continue. While over a third, 35.6%, preferred to split equally, they don't want to split anything equally. Guys, don't split nothing. Don't find yourself in a situation where a counterpart is controlling your finances. What you're gonna find is a complete mess and disaster. You're gonna be owing 10% here, 20% there, 90% here, 50% there, and you're gonna discover that nothing actually gets paid in full, right? She's always trying to get some change. She'll pay and then she'll try, oh, can't I get a change? Can't I get discounts? No, just pay the bill. No, she can't do that. She absolutely can't do that. Every time she pays a bill, she feels like she's being ripped off, right? She feels like they should be doing something special for her. You can't run an economy like this. You absolutely can't manage a budget like this. So don't think for a second that this 35.6% that actually prefers to split the bill actually prefers to split the bill. They don't. Not at all. Not at all. When it comes to money, they just don't have it. They really just don't have it. Right? And then don't get started on taxes. Because there's some of them that think taxes and interest are the same thing. You think I'm joking? Go ask a counterpart what's the difference between taxes and interest. They really think it's the same thing. And when they find out that they have to pay one amount for taxes and another amount for interest, they won't understand, right? Let's continue. The remaining fifth, 20.6%, felt that the payment was down to whoever organized and suggested the date in the first place. Again, I'm not going to recommend this. I'm going to recommend that if you accept to go out with a counterpart, accept to pay. They just don't have the money. All they can do is show an interest in you, and that's all. This is all that I've recommended. I've said that before, for you to know that somebody likes you. If you are uncertain of whether to approach somebody, they have to indicate an interest and attraction in you. And if somebody says, if a counterpart says they would like to go out with you on a date, and you said, let's make it happen, it's incumbent on you to pick her up and take her and fund the whole thing. Because she's not going to be able to do it. She's not going to pick you up, take you to a show, take you to a dinner, pay for the show, pay for the dinner, pay for the petrol, right? And then take you to her place and open some wine and keep the evening going with some snacks. She's not going to do that, man. She's not going to do that. She can do that with your money. She can plan a party with your money, but she's not planning one with her own. So just, even if she asks you out, right, just pay. Because you can see, like, it's a contentious issue. Only 20% agree that if I ask you out, then I'm the one that should pay. 20% of these people agree with this. So the most of them think that if they ask you out, you should pay. That's what this tells you. 80% think that if they ask you out, you should pay. And I agree, just pay. And if you don't have the money, just say, come over to my place. Yeah, why don't you come over to my place? You gonna cook for me? No. Come over to my place. Right? And then after that, we'll see about the date. We conclude with methodology. The survey conducted on behalf of Self Financial asked for a total of 1,070 U.S. adults about how much they spend on first dates and dating in general. Respondents had to have dated in at least 12 months to participate. Okay, so these were people who had been dating quite recently. Participants were asked a range of questions about the stress of finances around dating, as well as the impact of wealth on dating profiles. 54.6% of respondents were women and 44.9% were men. That's interesting. I would have hoped they went for 50-50, but I think the statistics are still true. They are very sound to me. I barely question these statistics because they prove true even in my own experience. Other than who should pay, just pay, guys. Just pay. Other than that, I think these statistics are very sound. It's a very good article. 0.4% independent as non-binary, and 0.2 declined to say. You didn't want to say, why not? That 0.2%. Now I'm curious about those people. Like, you didn't want to say, why not? Anyway, the data was collected from 8th to 21st December 2023. So they did this in about a week. So this is the true cost of dating. This is what it really costs you, right? Just to get into a relationship, I would say it's about $1,000 to start a new relationship. I know there was a section where they discussed very briefly outfits and clothes and those kinds of things, makeup and grooming. And I think it's an issue of, think of it like this: you buy your makeup once every while, so you're not going to buy a new lipstick every time you go on a date, so you'll reuse that lipstick, right? But if you're wearing something new every time, something different every time, if you're getting prepared every time, the cost of those preparations, the calls, the texting, the labor, the time, all of that could easily work out to about an additional 3,000. I beg your pardon, $300. This is just to start the relationship, and then the costs will just mount from there. But they did say it was a minimum of $700 and about 10 dates to get yourself confirmed into a relationship. So you need to see this person 10 times, 10 interactions in order for you to confirm, 10 romantic interactions in order for you to be confirmed to be in a relationship, right? So that's a lot of interactions. This is a tremendous amount of expenditure, right? And resources and time and money, and it's all really about the money, right? This is Earth Corporation, and everything here costs money. And you could be paying for these dates, right? 10 dates, 20 dates is a vasectomy. 20 dates is absolutely a vasectomy. 10 dates, you're halfway. And if you're dating, they said it was about 5 to 6 dates a month. So it takes you about 2 months to confirm yourself, or 2 months of consistent dating to confirm yourself to being in a relationship. That's about 8 weeks. So it takes about 10 months of consistent dating. 2 months of consistent dating, 8 weeks, to get yourself confirmed in a relationship. In that amount of time, I think you could happily save up for a vasectomy. Better yet, if you have medical insurance, you don't need to save up at all. They'll happily, do that for you, right? Compared to childbirth, which is so expensive, right? And you're still going to be paying anyway. But yes, a vasectomy to me proves cheaper still, right? Because you're gonna break up in this relationship, and not to mention, this is again just the cost. You're looking for $700 to $1,000 just to start the relationship, just to get into the relationship, and then you have to survive the relationship. And don't let her get pregnant. Don't let her get pregnant, which she will. Don't let her move in, which she will. Or if she moves in, the cost of cohabitation is so high. She is gonna move in and dump every single cost in her life on your lap. While she's still living there alone, there's things you don't know, and there's costs that you're not incurring. The minute she moves in, you're paying for everything. And the two of you are going to be fighting about money nonstop. She's going to be doubling, tripling, quadrupling your costs, and all the while calling you cheap, right? So the more money she wants to spend from you, and if you refuse and try to be financially sound, she's going to call you cheap. She's going to insult that, right? So while you're paying the bills, keeping her housed, keeping her fed, you'll be also paying to receive tremendous insults from this person. And if you think you won't, just go online, man. Just go online. Look at the people who are insulting their partners the worst, right? Look at where they are. Look at where they are living, right? These are people in like double-story houses with swimming pools and garden chairs and all kinds of things. And you can see that the house is too big for one person to keep clean every day, so they have help. They got nice cars, G wagons, all kinds of things. That they're driving around in. you know, and all they do is call their man useless and lazy. And this is a guy who has given these people everything that they have, everything they live for. And the statistics are clear. Like, it's one thing, I don't care what the counterpart says. I'm really telling you, I don't care. Not one word that comes out of that person do I trust. Because if they're all standing there telling you that they're all bosses and they all make their own money, and you look at the statistics that only 16% of them can pay 16% of their bills, and all that 16%, those are the peak earners, the people in their 40s and 50s. And I say 40s and 50s because counterparts don't work to 60. She's not going to be working 60 to 65. 40, 55, she's retiring. Maximum 55, right? So these are her peak working years, between 45 and 50, before she shuts it all down. So you're talking about senior citizens, middle-aged women to senior citizens. These are the only ones who can pay their own bills. And only because they have 25 years of experience at work. 20 to 25 years of experience. They've been working since they were in their 20s. They're in their 40s and 50s. That's about 25 to 30 years of experience. So after 25 years of experience, only then she can pay 16% of the bills, 16% of the time. Or you pay the majority of the bills and she'll share some. So if she's telling you that she's a boss and she got her own business, she's making her own money, she's lying. She is absolutely lying. She will be paying for nothing, right? She can't, she doesn't have it, right? This is why I don't take these people seriously, because I have these statistics here that contradict them completely. Right, so if you are truly looking to date, I suggest getting a vasectomy first, because many of you are dating multiple people. So if you're dating multiple people, that's 700 times 2, 700 times 3, 700 times 4. And most people are dating multiple people, right? So this is obviously going to affect the quality of your life and the quality of your living. You're not going to be able to sustain dating and make good money, right? You can't be losing $700 every month. That's a lot of money to lose. In a year, that's over $7,000. What could you possibly do with $7,000? I imagine you could do a lot, right? But if you're dating every week, going out, partying, I really don't think it's going to work out for you. I think you'll look great. I mean, you'll have all the indicators of success that were discussed. Lavish international destinations, wonderful suits, and you'll be eating at restaurants. But all these things are expensive, right? They look expensive because they are. And I don't really suggest that you live that way. I suggest you live frugally and trying to save as much money as you can while you still can. Because if you go around giving away all your money, like, I'm a big fan of traveling, don't get me wrong, but I'm really not traveling at the expense of my retirement and my quality of living. Like I said, I don't even go out every weekend. You know what I mean? I work a 90-day system, right? So I work nonstop for 90 days, and then I take 2 or 3 weeks off on break where I do absolutely nothing. And in that 3 weeks, in that 90 days, those 3 months of no partying, no going out, no restaurants, I can save enough money to take myself on a decent vacation once or twice a year, right? So even if I'm not going on an international destination, I can drive somewhere for a day, for a week, clear my mind, come back, and still have 2 weeks around to relax and recuperate, and then go back in for another 90 days, and then take 2 or 3 weeks off. And you do that, it'll save you a lot of money. I mean, you can work a lot of overtime. Where I am, I really don't work much overtime, but I don't need to work overtime. However, I do a lot of work by myself outside of the work. So I'm actually working 7 days whether I'm in the office or not. Right? So which makes me very competitive at work. Right? So I'm always preparing, trying to get ready, trying to reread material because I have no distractions. I can keep going, right? I can plan for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and never have to worry about what am I doing this weekend, what am I doing next weekend, because I know I've got a 90-day cycle. I will take 2 3 weeks off, and in that 2 and 3 weeks, I'm absolutely unstoppable because I have all the time to do whatever I want. So I can stay up all night and sleep all day, right? I can flip, my cycles completely, right? I can go to places, I can visit things, I can vacation, knowing that I have no responsibilities tomorrow. And then come back in and work, plan the next adventure, plan the next excursion. This is how I've lived my life successfully as a bachelor. But if you're going out every weekend, you won't have any money to do these international trips, right? And you won't be able to afford these wonderful suits. And they won't tell you this. They really won't tell you this, right? That's why you see the big guys, the CEOs, always on the yacht, but not always on the yacht, but they're always on the yacht, right? He's got days and days to do absolutely nothing, right? And then he goes back in, he kills it. Next, in the summer he'll be out, in the winter he'll be out, in the spring he'll be out. He'll plan it out. But you're going out partying every weekend, and you're never going to get that system right. Because every cent you make is gone as soon as it lands. You don't give it a chance to land. You don't give it a chance to sit in your bank account. You never get to think about your money before it's gone. And that's what restaurants and dates do, you know? So I don't know so much about dating, but it's expensive. It's expensive, and it's a slow drip campaign. It's really not something where they take a chunk out of your wallet, out of your bank account. I mean, they're taking $70 at a time, $60 at a time, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of makeup, a little bit of grooming, a little bit of cologne, a little bit of this, and by the end of the month, you've lost 700, and you don't know where that money went. When in fact, you could just be stable, be calm, be a bachelor, wait for the right moment to strike, and then strike. Instead of striking every weekend in random places, prepare yourself. Put aside 3 weeks to date, and you can start from scratch in 3 weeks. You can meet someone today and make plans and you've got 3 whole weeks. So, if you could go surprise them at work, during the day, you can go take them out to dinner after work, and people will be impressed. Oh, why do you have all this time? You live like a CEO. Yeah, because you're on leave and they don't know that. And you've been saving for 90 days straight. 90 days, not nothing, no alcohol, no partying, nothing. So now you've got war supplies, and you can go in and kill it for 3 weeks and then disappear. and then come back in again, right? In a place of your choosing anywhere in the world. But you need to really look after your resources. You can't be giving away your money to restaurants every weekend. Nah, that's gonna break you. It's gonna break you and leave you broken. You'll have nothing to show for it. So you need a time to make and save, and then you need a time to spend. And when you spend, you're not going to spend all your money in truth. You'll have too much money and not enough time to spend it, which is really what you want. Then you get back into the zone and you do your 90 days. Then you make sure when you come back, you book your leave, get your 3 weeks booked 90 days in advance so the company knows, and then you do your extra time, your overtime, and you do it every time. This is the Ancient One. This is the Bachelor Supreme. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Get a vasectomy and have a nice day.